I don't like launching books. It's always difficult because you feel responsible and you feel like if you do anything that supports the book in front of people, as opposed to the experience that they might have with the book by themselves, but you're being egotistic. So you try and fall back then in your mind thinking about what you're going to do to something instinctual. And I suppose without being negative, the first instinct that comes to my mind when I think about putting something into the world or creating something is that then something has to leave the world. Something has to be destroyed. Iris, could you just take one of those pictures off the back wall? Yeah, that's fine. If you could just pass it through the crowd, you just pass it through. If you could grab another one, Iris, and just pass it. Missed that one. If you could just keep passing it down. Thanks. Yeah, keep them coming. Hey! Let's keep it going. Joe, if you could get those two big ones. You've got a better aim than me. Close. 0 for 5. 6 now. Yeah, thanks. Oh! Off the rim. Again? Let's try left-handed. Oh, sorry about that. Not really. Could you hold that one? I like that one. You keep holding that one. That's quite beautiful, that one. Enjoy that one. It's the temptation, but it's on the wall. Down.
Online empire. The whole business of eroticism is to destroy the self-contained character of the participators as they are in their normal lives. George Bataille. You can never discover for yourself what you've been given. Bodies and knowledge, both. The primary purpose of this book is to worry about the division between the experienced and the perceived, and what is lost between that ever-expanding gap. Bataille suggests that you try to imagine yourself changing from the state you're in to one in which your whole self is completely doubled. He means this to be a disturbance, He reminds us you would not survive this process since the doubles you turned into are essentially different from you. Each of these doubles is necessarily distinct from you as you are now, as while you split into two new versions of yourself, you cannot be the same twice over. A kind of procreation is what he is suggesting, and the metaphor is about writing, I think. To mark the pages, then release them, is to indulge oneself fundamentally in a productive onanism. Cells dividing, with some of that division escaping you. You wonder it feels sad, a letdown to release things into the world. At some event, I'm watching a panel of speakers talking about something banal. The title is specious, it's designed to intrigue but not to offend. It's a turgid literary festival, stuffy and fake, but the panellists keep talking about sex. They are almost battling each other over it. It is awkward and insistent, but not perhaps for the reasons they imagine. They're desperate to appear comfortable with the notion of sex, and in doing so open the gap between themselves and sex itself. Gone is anything remotely evocative of the experience from within consciousness. I do not believe them too. It is a falsehood which is designed to make the audience comfortable while appearing to be discomforting. A letter flits across my mind. As I'm actively daydreaming an escape, and it occurs to me there seems nothing more unerotic than poets talking about sex. A teenager on the bus sitting in front of me is watching hardcore pornography on his phone. He doesn't have earphones in, he just has the sound turned right down. I can see there's actually subtitles on the tiny screen. The words change and the bodies rearrange themselves in sequence, in different positions. He's watching it and barely moving. He's wearing a school uniform. The actors, they must have to reset for each shot, I think, disengage, as it looks cheaply made, so it's unlikely to be a multi-camera production. They probably resent that, having to break free of contact. Sex can be inverted, turned inward, evoked by language, but then not only distant, but paradoxically absent in that evocation. Is there, aside from death, a more powerful example of language's limits? Where else is the failure of expression, the hyperfailure of poetic language, more readily obvious than when it is discussing fucking? Poetry and pornography are planets around the same sun. They're both smug in their attempt to evoke their subject, and both do damage for this fact. Both pattern the mind to experience and lessen possibility by claiming themselves as insightful to that which they cannot be. They're both modern metaphysics in that way. So how does one write a poetry, or something to that effect, about sex? Do letters look like human bodies, or is this a kind of useful anthropomorphic tunnel vision I've developed after staring into pages, exhausted? Are lost handwritten letters shaped more like human bodies than those typed? Are letters faces in their character? Too much time with Henri Michaud? Then I have to ask, why are alphabets in the order they are in? There'll be an answer on Wikipedia. I want to avoid that, more typing. What colours are letters most often? Does the computer screen alter the letter? I look closely at the pixels, those colourful letters. What are they doing together? How do they make more letters? Shapes vaguely resembling human bodies interact on tiny mobile phone screens top of two bodies slamming into each other. I'm not looking at letters anymore, but blotches that were once letters, unintelligible words. The more casual they try to appear, the more public, the more they show how comfortable they are in their neat books. The more I can start to see them mate with themselves, and from this colour cloud I can see them, like us all, hunched over somewhere, curtains drawn, black liquid, animal heads, temporary blackouts, confused apologies, olfactory encouragement, clumsiness, sorrow, strains and stains amidst the nice stuff and pleasure and child-making. In their defence, this would not be without it being somewhat behind drawn curtains. There's a letter, perhaps bored, almost made of plastic, stretched out, away from these people at literary festivals and their human senses. Thank you all for coming along. This is Poem Brut performance. It's also a book launch for Letter Ocean's Alphabet Empire. There's plenty of drinks there, they're all free. I have books for sale here if you'd like to come buy one. There's only 40 of these in existence. Thank you.